I appreciate you coming on and giving me your time. I'd love to hear more about, especially your journey from the Gateway PGA Junior Tour to now and everything in between.
Yeah. Well, I moved here about 7 years ago now. Moved here from Minnesota. And, found you guys right away and I started playing on the Gateway, PGA as soon as I got here. And as I, progressed as a junior golfer, started getting out of the Missouri and St. Louis area, but still made sure to, play, as much, events with you guys as I could. But, once I got to college, I guess you could say, didn't really work out at least with the coach I had there, cause I went to Central Michigan, and Gateway, it was a big part of that just because, the recognition I got through, Gateway and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I went to Central Michigan for my freshman year. Didn't, I guess connect with my coach very well. He's just kind of a interesting person, but I also didn't like the philosophy he had around golf. I didn't think it would help me in the long run because I wanted to play professional no matter what. So I decided to enter the portal, all that kind of stuff. But with the NCAA reducing roster sizes, just making all these changes to college golf, it was hard to find somewhere to go because, hard to find a home. So applied to, it's called the APGA Tour. And I had some success and some, experience with them as a junior golfer. I played some of their events as an AM. And so I knew of them and knew them, I knew the people that I needed to know. And they gave me full status for this year. And, it's been a fun journey. So, it's just been, it's crazy to think, just 3 years ago, I was a junior golfer, it's like, you could say 2 years ago. But now I'm a professional and do it, try to make my way up and, also trying to give back to what, the people that gave me the opportunities and all that stuff. So
for sure, to even follow up on that, I had read into your story on your website, and I was curious if you could maybe touch on kind of the thought process behind being at Central Michigan and then turning pro and what that thought process was like for you.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't an easy decision. We thought we would be thinking about this 4 years from now. As soon as I finished college and, we thought we'd be making this decision after, but, with the changes that, I was talking about with the NCAA and everything, we really had to consider is it worth going down to Division III or NAIA? And even, we talked about going to junior college for a year, and just, playing basically a sophomore year, just somewhere to play. And we were really close to, reaching out to those kind of schools, cause we had reached out to 250 schools already. And it was always the same answer of, we'd love to have you, but we have to, kind of get rid of some players right now. We can't really bring anybody in. So, talking with the family and just trying to, basically pros, cons, all that kind of stuff. And, I've always wanted to be a professional golfer. That was the biggest thing, I wanted to do. That was my dream. But I also didn't want to turn pro, but not have anywhere to play. So that's why I did apply to the APGA Tour, just kind of as a long shot. And when they gave me the full status for this year, it made the decision a little easier, knowing that I didn't really have a clear path in collegiate golf, but I had a clear path if I wanted to go professional, and go that professional route. So again, we knew it was going to be hard financially. Professional golf's not, cheap, but, it was, kind of a decision that we made as a family, and we knew that was the right decision. And as soon as I made that decision, there was no looking back. Cause obviously, once you start playing those events as a pro, you can't, switch back and be like, I want to go play college again. So as soon as I made that decision, it was a relief just because I knew I had a future. It was so uncertain for, since I left Central Michigan, on what the future was for golf. So as soon as I turned pro and had somewhere to play, it's kind of like, let's go, yeah, it is just a lot of, just talking with the family and, what's the best situation that I can put myself in to succeed. Even though I guess you could say it's the non-traditional route. But again, it was just, that's where the future was. So, that's, I kind of had to, so, but it's been great. So, the biggest thing too is just putting together a team, putting together a team that supports what I do, and will do a lot for me. My dad's been huge with all that stuff. But I joined at, I don't know if Elevate Golf and Zach Conlon. But I talked to him too about he was, a big step in the right direction too. Just, I talked with him about, should I stay, try to go back to college? Should I turn pro? And he's like, if you turn pro, let's go. There's no turning back. So, I'm going there now. He's been my coach for a few months and it's been great. So yeah, the biggest thing is just putting together the team, once I did turn pro. So yeah, it's been really good.
Good. Now to touch on the team around you, do you come from a family of golf? Does your whole family golf? And who, throughout this journey has been, the biggest influence on your golf career?
Mm-hmm. So no one in my family, plays golf. I just kind of got hooked early, when I was like 2 years old. But my dad was a college basketball coach for 20 plus years. My sister's thrower for track and field at North Dakota State right now. And my mom was a collegiate, track and field athlete. So, we just come from, an athletic background. And so, it's the biggest thing from is just I just found a love for golf. And, my dad played a little bit when I was young. But as soon as I kind of started getting serious about it and playing tournaments when I was, 8 years old, he just was like, I'm going to hang him up and, do what I need to do for my son to do what he wants and, get to his dreams. So the big, my dad's been huge. Yeah, my whole life, but especially now. He that website, he had a big part, in that and, putting all these things together, getting me, in touch with the right people. He got me in contact with Adam Long, and those kind of guys, Chase Johnson. So, those kind of little things that, help as a young professional golfer. Cause again, I just turned 21. So it's, all this is, it's, welcome to the real world,
Sure.
But again, my dad's been, and I could say my family too, they've all been, they had their concerns at first, with, not going back into school and, chasing his dream, but, it just, they've been the biggest supporters. And, when I say team, that's a big part of the team. That's not all golf, but the support side. And, it's just the family is the biggest part. So, they support everything I do. And, I found my team with golf and especially at Elevate, with, Zach and, Tyler with the fitness and all that stuff. I put together that part too, but the first step was my family. So, that was the biggest part to putting together the team. So.
Gotcha. The whole thing is kind of crazy to me, especially since you are still so young and you're pursuing this dream. I'm curious to know what your day to day or
Mhm.
week looks like, especially after turning pro and
Right.
being so young and trying to compete at
Mhm.
a higher level or the highest level.
Mhm. Yeah, when you turn pro, like people, want to say you got to be ready to turn pro. But that's never the case. You're never ready. And the biggest thing for me, like I said earlier, was the future that I knew I had now. It was as soon as I turned pro, I was like, let's go. And went to Elevate, joined Elevate, and during the winter, because it was a long winter here, spent hours there every day. But as soon as I can get outside, I'm at the course around 9 or 10, just because I'm at Elevate in the morning working out. Usually wake up at 6, go run, and then I'll head to Elevate, go lift, maybe do some swing things with Zach before I head out to the course, and then usually I get to the course around 10, and then I'm there till probably 5, 6 at I'm there all day. Whether that's just working on swing stuff for an hour or two, and then going out play 9 and do the same thing, or if it's playing 18. The biggest thing was, especially early this year, was trying to get back into, I guess you could say, golf condition. And that's why I was playing at TPC San Antonio late February, I think it was, and was tied for second going into the last 6 holes, and ended up going like 3 or 4 over in those 6 holes just because I got tired. And it's one of those things where you don't know until you know. And I got back and got the conditioning down, started playing 18 almost every day as if I could. The weather, it didn't get warm here, till late March, felt like. But like that was the biggest thing, was I noticed that everybody can hit it far. Everybody can hit the same shots. The biggest thing is who's the best course manage, can get around the course well, and who's in the best shape. When you're under pressure, and, it's a different kind of pressure when you're playing for money, that's your living. And I found that out the hard way, I guess you could say, but it's really about who can stay, calm and be at their best when they don't feel at their best. And that was, like I said, that was the biggest thing. If you go back and watch Tiger when, he was really good, he was the first one in the weight room, and he was always, just so much better because he could get around the course better, but also he was, when he finished the tournament, he could go play another tournament the day after, so the biggest thing was just being in shape and getting, that side of golf most of my attention. And now mostly, my day to day is like I said, wake up 6, go run, go lift, and then I'm at the golf course. I like being in the afternoon because that's kind of the hottest part of the day. Even though, people say I'm crazy, especially this week. It's the best time of the day because it makes me tired. So I'll be at the range for an hour, hour and a half, and then go play 18, make sure I'm walking. I don't take any carts or anything. And, when I'm done with 18 holes, even though I'm tired, I'll go back to the range and really work on swing. And, cause, I especially with swing, like speed, like especially with driver and all, everything, when I'm tired, I like to make sure it's basically lifting heavy. When I'm tired, I can push to new limits, I guess. So like the biggest thing is once I'm done and tired, basically starting over. And that was a big thing I talked with Zach about and everything. And again, it's the same thing every day. Wake up 6, run, lift, go do the same thing, and then I'm at the course till 6, 7 o'clock, and wake up, do it again. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. That's how.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. That sounds like a blast. Especially with you coming from the Gateway PGA Junior Tour, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a junior tour member now who maybe wants to follow in your footsteps or do something similar or go on to play collegiate golf? What is one piece of advice that you would give to them?
I would say, look at golf as look at it from outside the box. You can get so just hard on yourself when you hit a bad shot or you're not playing well, but golf's, it's already a blessing to be playing the game. It's already teaching you so many things, that will help you in the future that, I always think about how can I watch the best in the world and then translate it into my game? But I almost learn from just watching other people play golf because, it's a different perspective when you're playing golf. And it's almost like you got a whole golf course in front of you. And the biggest thing is, not getting too ahead of yourself and not getting too behind yourself, just trying to stay in the present. Results will take care of itself if you work hard. And like I said, staying in the present is the biggest thing. And also I like to go by this, 3-word kind of thing. I have it in my, yardage book, and it's commit, execute, and accept. The biggest thing for me was as soon as I turned pro, it can feel like a bad shot is the end of the world. And realistically, you have so much golf in front of you, even when you do hit a bad shot, that, you just have to move on. So accepting shots that you hit and just, taking it one shot at a time is the biggest, part of advice, that I have. So, that commit, execute, and accept is the biggest thing. So
that's good. So I appreciate your time here. I do have a couple of more fun questions that I think would be super cool to get your opinion on. The first one I'll start off with, John Daly actually talks about this a lot, that younger golfers always have a favorite club in their bag. And I'm curious if you have a favorite club in your bag and why.
I do. 7-iron is my favorite club. I guess it depends on the person. Yes. Like if you ask Rory, obviously he's going to say driver. But for me, I love my 7-iron. It's just one of those clubs that I know what it's going to do every single time. I can hit it any way I want to. And, when I look down at the club, I'm so confident, that I can do anything I want with that club. So I'd say 7-iron for sure. That's always been my favorite club.
I gotcha. Now, do you have, let me backtrack. Who is your golf idol or favorite professional golfer right now?
So I'd say an idol would probably be Tiger Woods. Even though I didn't watch him in his prime, watching all the YouTube videos and everything and just hearing about it, that's what I want to be. But I would say right now, Scotty Scheffler has to be. And just because he's just so good. And I don't know if you watched the Open this past week, but just watching round 3 and 4, is almost boring watching Scotty just because he just makes par almost every hole, and then he'll sign a scorecard and you see 68 on there. It's like, really? So that's I want to try to copy my game, to be like his. And like I said, I was at Deer Run this past week, and I scored, but I also made a lot of bogeys. So it's watching Scotty and seeing what he does, it can really help me, with course management, just because if I, even cut the bogeys in half, I'm, 6 under par for the event and sitting in third. So it's just one of those things where, watching Scotty and all those guys, it can really help translate to my game. But he's hands down my favorite golfer right now. So
now, if you could play, and this kind of piggybacks off your favorite golfer right now, you could play a round of golf with any 3 players in the world, past, or present, who would they be?
Gotcha. Definitely Tiger Woods. Do they have to be golfers, or is it just
No, it
an
can
athlete?
be anybody. It can be
Okay.
anybody.
So definitely Tiger Woods. I'd say Michael Jordan.
Okay.
And ooh, probably that's a good one. Gosh, probably like Ben Hogan or something. It's a long ways back, but again, it's one of the golf's greats, and I think that'd be a fun group to be in. So,
There you go. Now, this is kind of semi not golf related, but
Mhm.
especially with you playing golf all the time, you mentioned how most days, every day, you're out on the course or working on some part of your swing.
Mhm.
What do you enjoy most when you're not on the course? Because I know
Mhm.
personally, I don't think you can ever go and play enough golf. I love golf, but I think me going out and playing golf is much different than a professional golfer who's going out there to work, and I'm going out there to have fun. So I'm curious on what when you're not on the course, what do you enjoy doing?
Mhm. I love doing so many things, whether it's, sometimes I'll go out and go fish, or, go play pickleball with some of my buddies, or even just go play basketball or something. It just, something, I guess athletic and just gets me moving. That's usually, what I love to do. But again, sometimes, the weeks can get long. And it can be pretty mentally draining. So, coming back and just sitting and watching TV or, just hanging out with, family or whatever. I also just love doing that too. Just, as a way just to come down and just get ready for whether it's the next tournament or, next day. It is, just, I guess, just coming down, cause again, the days are long. So, when you're outside all day, it's pretty, and just playing golf, it's mentally draining. So if, I'm not doing anything and, I'm not getting bored from just sitting around, I'll just love to sit and hang with family. And, like I said, it's either sports or just hanging around. So, but the big one, I do love playing pickleball, especially with my buddies. So that can get pretty, competitive, and it's a good workout too. So it's pretty fun. So
For sure. Yeah, I think that is super, super common nowadays.
Mhm.
I know so many people that go out and play pickleball, and I playing like last week with my uncle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for, having me and, conducting this interview is great. So I appreciate it. And we'll definitely be in touch. So,
Okay.
like I said, I appreciate it. So,
Perfect. Thanks again, Zach.
yep.